Life will test you. Every single day, the world will present distractions, temptations, and obstacles designed to pull you away from your purpose. That's why you need to feed your mind the right words, the right energy, the right mindset daily. You can't expect to be strong if you never train your mind, just like you can't expect to be fit if you never train your body. Listening to the right words every day is like putting on mental armor. It protects you against negativity. It keeps your focus sharp, and it pushes you to act even when you don't feel like it. Because motivation isn't something you wait for, it's something you create. Every morning before you check your phone, before you scroll through social media, take time to set the tone for your day. Speak your goals out loud. Remind yourself why you started. Picture the life you're building. You can't afford to let your mind wander into fear, doubt, or laziness. Because that's how dreams die. Not with one big failure, but with small moments of neglect. The truth is, success belongs to the consistent. The ones who wake up and do the work even when they're tired, even when they don't feel ready, even when no one is watching. Every repetition builds discipline. Every day you push yourself is another day closer to the life you want. There will be days when you don't see progress. Days when it feels like nothing is changing. That's when you need this message the most, because growth is happening beneath the surface. The seed doesn't break through the ground the day it's planted, but it's growing roots. Your effort is never wasted. So listen to this every day. Let it remind you that your time is precious, your vision is possible, and your future is in your hands. Build your mind before you build anything else. Because the stronger your mindset, the stronger your life will be. 10 key points from the speech. Daily mental conditioning is essential. Just as your body needs regular training to stay strong, your mind needs daily reinforcement with empowering thoughts. Words are mental armor. The right words protect you from negativity, distraction, and self-doubt. Motivation is created, not waited for. Action generates motivation, not the other way around. Morning routine. Set the tone. Begin each day by focusing on your goals and vision before external distractions take over. Small neglect kills dreams. Most goals fail not because of big disasters, but because of consistent small lapses in effort. Consistency beats talent, discipline, and showing up daily matter more than natural ability. Invisible progress is still progress. Just because results aren't visible doesn't mean they aren't happening. Effort compounds over time. Every small action builds into long-term success. Your time is precious. Waste less on distraction and invest more in growth. A strong mind builds a strong life. The foundation of success is mental strength. Your mind is the control center of your entire life. Everything you do, every choice you make, every action you take, it all begins with a thought. That thought either pushes you forward toward your goals or pulls you backward into fear, doubt, and procrastination. The question is, who is in control of that thought? You or the world around you? If you're not actively training your mind every single day, you're leaving it wide open for negativity, distractions, and fear to creep in. Think about it. When you wake up in the morning and immediately reach for your phone, you're handing over control of your thoughts to whatever pops up first. News headlines designed to spark fear. Social media feeds filled with other people's highlight reels. Notifications that drag you into other people's agendas. Before you've even had your first cup of coffee, your mind is already reacting instead of creating. Daily mental conditioning is about flipping that script. It's about taking back control. It's about deciding, before I let the outside world pour into my head, I'm going to pour something powerful into it myself. It means deliberately feeding your brain with the kind of thoughts, words, and messages that build strength, resilience, and focus. Just like your muscles weaken without regular training, your mindset will weaken without consistent reinforcement. You can't do it once a week and expect results. Imagine going to the gym one time, lifting weights for an hour, and then saying, well, I'm strong now. I never need to work out again. That would be ridiculous. Your mind works the same way. If you only get inspired once in a while, that inspiration will fade. The fire will go out. That's why you must make it a non-negotiable part of your day. Whether it's reading a chapter of a personal growth book, listening to a motivational speech, writing down your affirmations, or visualizing your goals, you need to make mental training a daily ritual. This isn't extra work, it's the work. Everything else you do in life will be affected by the state of your mind. When you condition your mind daily, You start building mental habits that become automatic. You stop being easily shaken by challenges because your first instinct is to focus on solutions, not problems. You stop getting dragged into other people's drama because you've trained yourself to stay in your lane and guard your peace. You stop doubting yourself because you've repeated empowering beliefs so often that they've become part of your identity. And here's the truth: life is relentless. It doesn't care if you're tired. It doesn't care if you've had a bad day. It will keep throwing problems at you, testing you and pushing you to your limits. If your mind isn't ready, those challenges will break you. But if you've trained every day, those same challenges become fuel. Instead of saying, "Why is this happening to me?" you'll say, "Good, this is my chance to grow stronger." Daily mental conditioning also keeps your goals fresh in your mind. It's easy to forget why you started when you're buried in the grind. It's easy to lose sight of the big picture when the little setbacks keep showing up. But when you remind yourself every single day of purpose, your mission, your why, you can push through the tough moments without losing momentum. You'll also start to notice that your environment has less power over you. Most people are shaped entirely by the environment they're in. Their mood changes based on who they're around, what they see, and what they hear. But when you train your mind daily, you become the one shaping your environment instead of letting it shape you. You walk into a room with confidence. You bring energy instead of absorbing whatever energy is already there. You set the tone instead of waiting for someone else to set it. This isn't about pretending that bad things don't happen or living in denial. It's about preparing your mind to respond with strength instead of weakness. When you've conditioned your mind day after day, you've built mental muscles you can rely on. Just like a trained athlete doesn't have to think about how to run, jump, or lift. They've done it so often that it's second nature. You'll handle life's challenges without hesitation because you've trained for them. The best part? It compounds over time. The more days you train your mind, the more powerful you become. And just like compound interest grows your money, compound conditioning grows your mindset. One day you'll wake up and realize that the situations that used to overwhelm you don't even faze you anymore. Every day you're in a battle against doubt, against fear, against the endless distractions of the modern world. And in that battle, your strongest shield isn't money, status, or luck. It's the words you feed your mind. Words are not just sounds, they are seeds. Every word you hear and every word you speak plants something in your mind. Over time, those seeds grow into beliefs, and those beliefs shape your reality. Think about it. Someone tells you you're not good enough times, and even if it's not true, your mind starts to accept it. On the other hand, if you consistently hear you've got this, you're capable, you can do hard things, your brain begins to believe that too. Words literally program your mind, just like software programs a computer. If the code is corrupted, the output will be flawed. If the code is clean, the output will be strong. That's why words are mental armor. When you deliberately choose the right words, words of courage, determination, faith, and resilience, you protect yourself from the attacks of negativity that are guaranteed to come your way. Life will try to tell you that you can't. People will try to tell you that you're not ready. Circumstances will try to convince you to give up. But when you've armored your mind with powerful words, those attacks can't pierce through. This isn't just about listening to positive things. It's about replacing weak language with strong language in your own self-talk. Your inner voice is the loudest voice you'll ever hear, and it speaks to you every second of every day. If that voice is full of defeat, you'll live in defeat or live in defeat. If it's full of possibility, you'll start seeing possibilities everywhere. Too many people underestimate the impact of the words they use on themselves. They casually say, "I'm so stupid, I'll never get this right. I'm just unlucky," without realizing they are reinforcing those beliefs. You have to start treating every word you speak about yourself as a command to your subconscious mind, because that's exactly what it is. When you say, "I can handle this," your mind starts looking for ways to handle it. When you say, "I always mess things up," your mind starts looking for evidence to prove you right. And it's not just the words you say, it's the words you expose yourself to daily. Your environment is full of voices, friends, family, co-workers, media, music, books, podcasts. Every single one is feeding your mind something. The question is, are they feeding you armor or are they feeding you poison? If you're constantly surrounded by complainers, cynics, and people who tell you it's impossible, you'll start to absorb that energy without even realizing it. That's why you have to be intentional about your inputs. Imagine walking into a battlefield wearing a suit made of tissue paper. That's what it's like trying to chase your goals without mental armor. But if every day you're listening to powerful speeches, reading empowering books, repeating strong affirmations, and surrounding yourself with uplifting people, it's like showing up to that battlefield in an unbreakable suit of steel. The arrows still come, but they bounce right off. The beauty of words as armor is that you can carry them anywhere. You can armor up in the morning by listening to something empowering while you get ready. You can armor up during your commute by feeding your mind with podcasts that sharpen your thinking. You can armor up before a big meeting or a difficult conversation by repeating affirmations that remind you who you are. Words are free, they're available at all times, and they don't require permission from anyone else to use. You might be thinking, "Oh, but isn't this just positive thinking?" No, positive thinking alone is not enough. This is about weaponizing your language and intentionally building a shield that allows you to move forward even when conditions are tough. Positive thinking is saying, "I hope it works out." Mental armor is saying, "Even if it doesn't work out, I will still keep going." Strong words also help you redirect your focus when your mind starts spiraling into doubt. Everyone has moments when fear kicks in, when that little voice says, "Oh, what if you fail?" In those moments, words become your first line of defense. You replace a "what if I fail" with a "what if I succeed." You replace "I can't" with "yeah, I will find a way." You replace "this is too much" with "yeah, I am built for this." Over time, this becomes automatic. Your brain starts instinctively reaching for the stronger thought instead of the weaker one. Think about warriors before battle. They don't go in silent. They have chants, they have war cries, they have speeches that ignite their spirit. That's not by accident. They know that when the body hears the right words, it responds with energy, focus, and courage. Focus and courage. The same principle applies to your life. Every challenge you face is a battle, and the words you choose will determine whether you go in ready or go in defeated. When you treat words as your armor, you stop letting random voices shape your belief system. You become the curator of your own mental environment. You decide what gets in and what gets blocked out. And once your armor is strong, nothing and no one can stop you from moving forward. One of the biggest myths people believe is that motivation is something you have to feel before you take action. They think they need to feel ready to start the project, go to the gym, make the call, or take the leap. They imagine motivation as this magical burst of energy that appears out of nowhere, lights a fire inside them, and makes everything easy. But here's the truth. If you sit around waiting for motivation to show up, you're going to be waiting a very, very long time. Motivation is not a lightning strike. It's a spark you create through movement. It doesn't arrive first. It follows action. That's why so many people stay stuck. They're waiting for a feeling that only comes after they start doing the work. Think about the times you didn't feel like working out, but you pushed yourself to go anyway. Maybe the first few minutes felt heavy, but once you got moving, your energy kicked in. By the time you finished, you felt unstoppable. That wasn't magic, that was momentum. Action creates momentum, and momentum creates motivation. The problem is most people have it backwards. They think, once I feel motivated, I'll start. But it's actually, once I start, I'll feel motivated. The mind loves movement. When you take the first step, no matter how small, you send a signal to your brain that says, we're doing this, and that simple decision flips a switch inside. Here's the part most people miss. Motivation is not an emotion, it's a habit. The more you act without waiting for it, the more you train yourself to move even when you don't feel like it. Over time, you stop relying on hype and you start relying on discipline. You start to realize that waiting for motivation is like waiting for perfect weather. You'll miss the whole season because you were too busy hoping for the perfect day. Motivation is also tied to clarity. When you don't know exactly what you want, it's hard to feel any drive to go get it. Clarity creates direction, and direction gives you a reason to move. If your goal is vague, I just want to be successful, you won't feel much urgency. But if your goal is crystal clear, I want to build my business to $100 this year so I can quit my job and spend more time with my family. You'll find yourself pushing forward even when you're tired because the purpose is strong. And make no mistake, there will be days when you feel nothing. No energy, no excitement, no inspiration. That's when you have to remind yourself, the work comes first, the feeling comes later. You don't wait to feel like brushing your teeth. You just do it because it's part of taking care of yourself. The same goes for your goals. You also need to remove the illusion that motivation will last forever once it arrives. Motivation is temporary. It comes and goes. That's why athletes, entrepreneurs, and high performers don't rely on it alone. They know that their real fuel is discipline. And discipline is built by showing up on the days when motivation is nowhere to be found. Every time you act without feeling like it, you're building a stronger version of yourself. Here's a powerful mental shift. Instead of asking, how do I get motivated? Start asking, how can I make it easy to start? Because starting is the hardest part. Once you start, the resistance fades. That's why you should lower the entry barrier. Want to write a book? Commit to writing for 5 minutes. Want to work out? Commit to just putting on your workout clothes. Once you're in motion, the brain naturally wants to keep going. The truth is, motivation is born from progress. When you see results, no matter how small, you get excited to keep going. That's why it's critical to track your wins, even the little ones. Every task completed, every rep done, every dollar earned. It's all proof to your brain that your efforts are paying off. And the brain loves proof. The more proof it sees, the more it rewards you with motivation. But here's the catch. In the beginning, there is no proof. At the start of anything, whether it's a new habit, a new job, a new skill, you have to work before you see results. That's why most people quit early. They mistake the absence of immediate motivation for a sign that they're not meant to do it. In reality, the motivation is waiting on the other side of consistent action. You can't let temporary emotions dictate permanent outcomes. If you let or don't feel like it win every day, your dreams will stay dreams forever. But if you push yourself to act despite the feeling, you'll find that the act itself changes your state. You'll go from tired to alert, from unmotivated to driven, from stuck to unstoppable, all because you refuse to wait for the perfect moment. Motivation is not a gift from the universe. It's a byproduct of showing up. And once you fully accept that, you'll stop waiting for permission to start. The way you start your morning is the way you set your life in motion. Every single day is like a blank page, and the first few lines you write in the morning will influence the entire story of that day. If you start your morning in chaos, you carry chaos into your work, your conversations, your decisions. If you start your morning with focus, clarity, and purpose, that energy ripples through everything you do. Most people underestimate the power of their mornings. They wake up at the last possible minute, hit snooze 2 or 3 times, roll out of bed, grab their phone, and instantly get bombarded with emails, texts, and notifications. Without realizing it, they've put themselves into a reactive state before they've even had a chance to take a deep breath. They're no longer deciding how their day will go. The world is deciding for them. But the truth is, you can design your mornings to work for you, not against you. You can create a routine that programs your mind for productivity, focus, and success. You can take control before the chaos takes control of you. That's what a powerful morning routine is all about. It doesn't have to be complicated or 2 hours long. What matters most is intentionality. The moment you wake up, you're either training your brain to drift or training it to direct. If you start with discipline, your mind learns to carry that discipline forward. If you start with distraction, your mind learns to chase distraction all day. A powerful morning routine begins with ownership of your attention. That means not letting your phone dictate your first thoughts. Your phone is like a portal into everyone else's priorities. The second you open it, you've invited their noise into your headspace. Instead, give the first minutes of your day to yourself, to your thoughts, your goals, your vision. One of the most effective ways to do this is by starting with gratitude. Gratitude instantly shifts your focus from what's missing to what's already here. It creates a sense of abundance instead of lack. Simply taking 60 seconds to think about 3 things you're grateful for can put your mind in a positive state before you face the day's challenges. Another game changer is movement. It doesn't have to be a full workout. It could be stretching, yoga, push-ups, a quick walk. Movement wakes up your body, and when your body is awake, your mind follows. That's why so many high performers start their day with some kind of physical activity. It sets a tone of energy and momentum. Then there's visualization. The morning is the perfect time to remind yourself where you're going and why you're going there. Close your eyes and picture the life you're building. See yourself achieving the goals you've set. Feel what it would be like to live that reality. This isn't daydreaming. It's mental rehearsal. Athletes do it before competitions. Performers do it before stepping on stage. It trains your brain to recognize opportunities and act on them when they appear. Don't overlook the power of planning your day in the morning. When you write down your top priorities before the day begins, you're giving yourself a clear map to follow. Without that map, it's easy to get lost in busy work, wasting energy on tasks that don't really matter. With it, you can make sure your time is spent on the things that actually move you forward. Your morning routine should also include some form of personal growth. That could be reading a few pages of a book, listening to a motivational speech, or journaling your thoughts. Even just 10 minutes of intentional learning can sharpen your mindset and fill your brain with ideas that influence the rest of your day. The beauty of morning routines is that they compound. A great morning leads to a great day. A string of great days becomes a great week. A chain of great weeks builds into a great year. And a great year can change your life completely. But it all starts with those first moments after you open your eyes. If you think you don't have time for a morning routine, you have to realize something. Those extra 20 or 30 minutes of sleep you're holding on to aren't changing your life. But using that time to set your mind, body, and spirit in alignment with your goals absolutely can. You're not losing rest. You're gaining control. Your mornings are your launch pad. How you launch determines how high you go. If you stumble out of the gate, you spend the rest of the day trying to catch. But if you start strong, centered, focused, energized, you move through your day with an unstoppable force. When you control your mornings, you control your life. People often imagine that dreams die in dramatic, catastrophic moments. A failed business launch, a bad investment, a huge rejection. But in reality, most dreams don't die with a bang. They die slowly, quietly, in small, almost invisible ways. Not because of one huge mistake, but because of repeated neglect over time. It's the day you skip your workout just this once. The day you tell yourself, I'll start tomorrow. The day you avoid that important conversation because it's uncomfortable. Those little moments might feel harmless in isolation, but they stack up. And before you know it, they've built a wall between you and the life you wanted. Think of it like a plant. If you forget to water it once, it won't die. But if you neglect it a little bit each day, missing water here, skipping sunlight there, it will wither. The decline is so gradual you barely notice until it's too late. Your dreams work the same way. They need consistent care, attention, and effort to stay alive. When you stop feeding them, they start fading. The dangerous part about small neglect is that it's easy to justify. You tell yourself you're too busy today, but you'll make it up tomorrow. You think skipping one step won't hurt. And it's true, one day probably won't. But that thinking is the trap, because one day turns into two, two turns into a week turns into months, and suddenly the momentum you had is gone. Momentum is fragile. It takes weeks, months, even years to build, but it can be lost in a matter of days if you stop moving forward. That's why successful people guard their habits fiercely. They understand that even when they can't give 100%, they can give something. They know that it's better to do a little than to do nothing at all, because a small step keeps the momentum alive. It's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent enough that neglect never gets a foothold. You don't have to run 10 miles every day, but you have to do something to move your health forward. You don't have to work on your business for 12 hours daily, but you have to take some action to keep the vision alive. Every day you feed your dream, it grows. Every day you neglect it, it shrinks. Here's another truth. Small neglect doesn't just kill dreams. It kills self-trust. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you chip away at your own confidence. You start to doubt whether you can rely on yourself. And when you can't rely on yourself, it becomes harder to believe you can achieve anything big. You might still talk about your goals, but deep down, you know you're not following through. The opposite is also every time you keep a commitment to yourself, no matter how small, you build trust in your own word. You begin to see yourself as the kind of person who does what they say they'll do. And that identity is powerful. It fuels bigger actions and bigger wins. One of the most dangerous things you can tell yourself is, it's just a little thing. Because the little things are what make up your life. Skipping one glass of water doesn't dehydrate you. Skipping water every day does. Missing one day of reading won't make you ignorant. Missing reading every day will. Dreams are built or destroyed in the tiny, often invisible decisions you make daily. That's why awareness is key. You have to notice when neglect is creeping in. It starts subtly. Sleeping in a little later than planned, scrolling instead of studying, pushing off the project you are excited about. The sooner you catch it, the easier it is to reverse. The longer you let it go, the harder it is to restart. You have to adopt the mindset that every day counts. Not some days, not most days, every day. Because every day is either moving you closer to your dream or further away from it. There's no standing still. You're either building or breaking. The truth is, small neglect often feels comfortable in the moment. It feels easier to relax than to push. It feels safer to delay than to start. But the comfort is temporary and the cost is permanent. When you look back a year from now, you won't regret the days you put in the work. You'll regret the days you didn't. If you really want to protect your dream, you have to see neglect for what it is. Slow destruction. And the only way to fight it is with consistent, deliberate action, no matter how small. The world is full of talented people who never reach their potential. They have the skills, the intelligence, the creativity, but they lack the discipline to show up every single day. And because they lack consistency, their talent stays hidden, undeveloped and wasted. On the other hand, there are people who don't start out as the most gifted, the most skilled or the most naturally talented, but they win. They rise to the top, they outlast everyone else. And they do it for one simple reason. They keep showing up when others quit. Consistency beats talent because talent is only potential. It's what you could do. Consistency is proof it's what you actually do. Potentially without action is nothing but a promise that never gets fulfilled. Here's the thing about talent. It gives you a head start, but it doesn't guarantee you'll finish the race. In fact, talent can be a trap. People who rely on it too much often get lazy, thinking they can coast on their natural ability. Meanwhile, the person with less natural ability is putting in the work day after day, building skills, improving and getting stronger. Eventually, the hard worker passes the talented person, and once they pass them, they don't look back. Success is a marathon, not a sprint. Talent might let you sprint ahead in the beginning, but consistency is what keeps you running when the race gets long. And it always gets long. There will be days when you don't feel like showing up. Days when the work is boring, when progress feels slow, when no one is clapping for you. You. That's where consistency comes in. It's the ability to do what you said you'd do, regardless of how you feel. The truth is, most people can be consistent for a little while. They get excited at the beginning, they put in effort for a few days, maybe a few weeks. But then the novelty wears off, the results aren't instant, and they start looking for something easier. That's why consistency is rare, and why it's so powerful. When you commit to showing up every day, you gain something talent alone can't give you. Mastery. Every repetition sharpens your skills. Every session adds another layer of confidence. And over time, those layers stack up into expertise. People might call it a natural ability when they see you perform at a high level. But it's not. It's the result of relentless repetition. Consistency also builds trust with yourself and with others. When you're consistent, people know they can count on you. Your reputation becomes tied to reliability, and that opens doors. Opportunities come to the person who shows up, not the person who could be great if they felt like it. And here's something many people overlook. Consistency compounds. At first, the gains are small and almost invisible. You might work for weeks or months without seeing major changes. But behind the scenes, progress is building. Just like compound interest grows your money slowly at first and then rapidly over time, consistent effort grows your results exponentially. One day, you'll look back and realize you've come much further than you thought possible. Consistency also builds resilience. The more often you show up, the less fragile you become. Missed opportunities or setbacks don't shake you as much because you've trained yourself to keep moving forward no matter what. That's a huge advantage over the talented person who's only used to winning. When they face failure, they crumble. When you face failure, you adapt and keep going. It's also important to realize that consistency doesn't mean perfection. You're going to have off days. You're going to miss a workout, skip a practice, or have an unproductive afternoon. That's okay. Consistency is about what you do the majority of the time, not 100% of the time. The difference between someone who succeeds and someone who quits is simple. The successful person gets back on track quickly, while the quitter lets one missed day turn into a missed week. If you really want to outwork talent, you have to commit to a standard. I show up no matter what. No excuses. No waiting for the perfect mood, the perfect timing, or the perfect conditions. You become the kind of person who takes action whether it's convenient or not. Over time, this mindset transforms you. You may start out as the underdog, the one with less potential, but consistency turns you into a force that can't be ignored. And when you've put in years of steady, deliberate effort, even the most naturally talented people will have a hard time catching up. At the end of the day, the people who win aren't always the smartest, the strongest, or the most naturally gifted. They're the ones who refuse to quit. They're the ones who show up when no one's watching, who keep swinging when their arms are tired, who keep climbing when the mountain feels endless. The world doesn't reward what you could have been. It rewards what you become through consistent action. Talent might open a door for you, but consistency kicks it wide open and builds a home inside. So make the choice today. No more half efforts. No more I'll start tomorrow. No more quitting when it's hard. Commit to showing up. Commit to doing the work. Commit to becoming unstoppable. Because once you decide to be consistent, truly consistent, there's no force strong enough to hold you back. You won't just chase success. You'll drag it to your doorstep. And you'll know deep down you didn't just get lucky, you earned it.